When questions about Trump's financial dealings meet obstruction in Congress, the fight for accountability turns personal, and the stakes couldn't be higher for our democracy.
Let's hypothetically, it's not hypothetical, it's true, Donald Trump has a financial interest in a meme coin named after himself. And he recently offered a VIP White House tour and special reception to the meme coin's 25 biggest holders. After that announcement, the coin surged more than 50%. Does that seem like something that warrants investigation to you, Mr. Turley?
Well, there's no question that you can investigate that to see if there was any criminal conduct. I want to distinguish between that and the influence peddling scandal that the hearing was about in the Biden administration.
I'm not talking about that hearing. And I know you like to filibuster, Mr. Turley. No, I'm happy to talk about that hearing. It was the biggest joke of an investigation. It was embarrassing that you call yourself a credible criminal professor, that you would actually think that there was any evidence that warranted an investigation. But I'm focusing right now because it would seem to me, if you have any credibility, you would agree that auctioning off a White House tour for the highest investors in your own company would warrant either impeachment or criminal investigation. But let me move on because it gets worse. The president is a significant financial beneficiary of a company called World Liberty Financial, which issues a stablecoin. Are you familiar with stablecoins?
I'm not.
Okay, a stablecoin is essentially a digital version of a dollar that can be used in transactions. Recently, the World Liberty, this organization which Donald Trump is a beneficiary of, entered into a deal with a UAE-backed company that would complete a $2 billion transaction with a company that has previously admitted to engaging in money laundering. And Donald Trump's company will now generate tens to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue from that transaction with a foreign government. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Foreign Emoluments Clause, Mr. Turley. Would you say that based on that information, since apparently you only follow Hunter Biden's finances and not President Trump's, would you say that based on me providing you with that information, that would warrant an impeachment investigation?
Congressman, you say that we have to preserve our credibility. I think you would agree.
Can you answer the question, sir?
He's trying to answer the question. Your time has expired. I will allow the gentleman to answer the question.
Thanks. In the interest of credibility cited by the member, I'm not going to rely on the facts that you just gave me for the first time to render a judgment on it. I'm not opposed to investigations of alleged corruption. That was the point of the previous hearing. But the way to establish credibility is not, as you did, sir, just engage in personality attacks and personal innuendos. I'm happy to speak with you and to work with you about anything dealing with corruption in this building. I've been writing about that for 3 decades. I've been called as a witness for both the Democrats and Republicans dealing with that.
Well,
but the way to
I've only seen you as a witness.
Your time has expired, sir. Your time has expired.
I'm happy to yield back.
Did you finish your question?
Only that the way that we can actually regain.
I thought my time has expired.
Your time has expired. I said your time expired. He gets an opportunity to finish answering the question.
I'd like to reclaim my time.
No, you have no additional time. You are out of order.
He's answering
Be quiet.
my question.
You are out of order.
I would like to reclaim my time.
No. He's answering the question because you personally attacked him. I've said he can answer the question. I give that courtesy.
How did I personally attack him, Mr. Chairman?
You attacked his credibility. We're not going to get into we're not getting into this right now. What we're going to get.
He's a witness. His credibility matters, sir.
You are out of order. You are out of order. You're done. You can't say anything else right now. You may finish answering your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that the one lesson from this exchange is that it's possible that we can restore credibility in this institution if we can just get beyond the personal attacks.
There were no personal attacks, Mr. Turley. You are a witness.
Done.
Your credibility matters.
You, sir, you have lost your credibility with me. I gave that courtesy to everyone on this bench.
Mr. Chairman.
You ask a question, if they wanted to continue to answer beyond the time limit, I said, time's expired, you may answer the question. That's my routine, that's what I did today. You challenged him, asked him a question. You wanted an answer. Your time has expired. He is answering the question.
Mr. Chairman,
you don't like his answer. Because you don't like his answer, you want to shut him up. What's your inquiry?
My inquiry is when you offered when my time was up at 00 for him to answer the question, he went and answered the question. You then gavelled and said, my time was up.
That's not a parliamentary inquiry.
You gavelled and
that's
said,
not a parliamentary inquiry.
I would like to know when
that's not a parliamentary
my time
inquiry.
is up and when he gets to continue answering.
That is not a parliamentary inquiry. Your parliamentarian is about to tell you. That's not a parliamentary inquiry.
He actually disagrees. He thinks it is a parliamentary.
That's not a parliamentary inquiry.
Why? I'm asking for the process question, the process question as to when my time is up, which you allowed him to answer the question. You then gavelled and said my time is expired, and then you then offered him to answer the question again, which he already had done.
No, sir. If we were to watch,
you did it based on accusations that I was personally attacking him, which I was not.
Excuse me. Not only are you out of order, you're being incredibly rude. Here's the deal. I gave everybody the same courtesy. You didn't like where he was going. You began interrupting again, but your time was expired. He was trying to answer the question. You didn't like the answer.
That is false. I'm happy to have the answer.
No, that's what happened.
I didn't like the accusation that I was personally attacking him. His credibility.
I didn't say that till the third round when you interrupted.
His
and you continued to interrupt. You continue to be out of order.
And then I asked you,
are out of order.
I asked you, what am I personally attacking? And you said his credibility, and he is a witness. Whose credibility matters.
You're out of order. You are so far out of order.
Well, you are not conducting this in a fair and equitable way.
Sure I am.
Because
everybody got the same courtesy. You asked a question, they're going to finish answering. Everybody got that same courtesy. You interrupted him while he was giving the answer. That's why you got gavelled.
And then
you got interrupted.
And then you
interrupted. That's why
and then you said my time is up, which is when you would go to the next person.
I gave the same courtesy to every member on your side of the aisle as I gave over here. When your time was expired, 5 minutes expired. If they were in the middle of answering the question, I let it go. Now, we can talk about that round and round all you want. That's what I did. That's what I do.
Well, I look forward to you continuing to do that.
Yeah, well, good. And I look forward to you being in order next time. So, Mr. Turley, you may continue to answer the question that he so much doesn't want to hear.
I've never been so certain in saying I'm happy to move on.
Very good. Thank you.
This exchange between Rep. Andy Biggs and Rep. Dan Goldman is a perfect example of how congressional oversight can be challenged by political maneuvering and why public accountability is so critical. On the surface, it seems like a simple argument over time limits or procedural rules, but when you dig deeper, it exposes the real tension between transparency and the protection of entrenched power. Goldman's questions focus on financial dealings tied to President Trump, including digital currencies and transactions with foreign entities. These aren't hypothetical or partisan curiosities. They are central to understanding how influence, money, and policy can intersect in ways that affect every American. Biggs' repeated interruptions and insistence on parliamentary procedure are not just technical points. They reveal a deliberate attempt to control the narrative, to prioritize process over substance, and in doing so, protect powerful interests from scrutiny. This tactic, whether intentional or unconscious, highlights a critical lesson about democracy. The rules of the game can be used to shield the powerful rather than to ensure fairness. Goldman's persistence in asking tough questions demonstrates the resilience required to pierce through these barriers. For viewers, this is a real-world lesson in how accountability is fought for, not simply given. There's also an educational angle here about the role of financial transparency and ethical governance. When elected officials or powerful individuals have financial stakes in companies, especially those engaging in cross-border transactions or dealing with digital assets like stablecoins, oversight is not optional, it's essential. Goldman's insistence on answers reflects a broader principle of democratic governance, that public officials, regardless of party or position, must be held accountable for conflicts of interest and potential breaches of law. Biggs' approach, insisting on procedural dominance and repeatedly interrupting Goldman, serves as a case study in how power can be exercised to protect elites rather than citizens. But it also shows the importance of courage, preparation, and persistence in public service. Goldman refuses to back down, illustrating that oversight is a skill as much as it is a duty. Asking the right questions, challenging obfuscation, and keeping the focus on the public interest are all part of the work that sustains a functioning democracy. Beyond the political and procedural implications, this exchange is deeply human. Goldman's insistence and Biggs' frustration highlight the tension, emotions, and stakes involved in governance. Democracy is not just about policies or hearings, it's about people striving to ensure that systems work fairly and that decisions are transparent, ethical, and accountable. This is why citizens need to understand not just the headlines, but the mechanics of power and the ways in which rules, procedures, and personalities can shape outcomes. For viewers, the takeaway is clear. Transparency and accountability do not happen automatically. They require courage, persistence, and vigilance. Every question asked in hearings like this matters because it ensures that public officials are accountable, financial dealings are scrutinized, and citizens' trust in governance is defended. Goldman's efforts are a reminder that democracy is participatory and that oversight, even when messy and confrontational, is one of the tools we have to protect fairness and prevent corruption. This isn't just political theater, it's a window into how power functions in real time and why your attention, understanding, and engagement as a citizen matter. Watch these hearings, pay attention to the tactics, and ask yourself, are the rules being used to protect the people or the powerful? Because the health of our democracy depends on the answer. Remember, accountability is a muscle. It only gets stronger when people insist on answers, when they challenge the shield of privilege, and when they refuse to accept obfuscation. That is the lesson of this exchange, and it is one every citizen should take seriously. Stay informed, demand transparency, and recognize that the work of oversight is never complete. Your understanding, your voice, and your engagement are essential. Democracy works best when it is active, vigilant, and unwilling to allow power to go unchecked.